Great. Everybody, welcome to Digital Asset News. Top stories in crypto, break down in bite-sized pieces. So today, just as the thumbnail and the title suggest, there's an algorithm that is consistently beating the market, and it's picking Bitcoin as third. So we're going to take a look at what is the story behind this algorithm and what's actually coming in first, second, fourth, fifth, and sixth place. And actually, I find it kind of surprising. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at a little on-chain analysis. And I got to tell you, it's keeping me a little bit bullish because lately I've been kind of a wet blanket. Also, like I said, take a look at that algorithm. And then we're going to take a little story of something I did yesterday. I tried to pay my taxes with the Voyager debit card. Tell you how that went and how Ted Cruz is trying to help me out. And then also, we'll take a look at a good story. U.S. Secret Service finally puts a Bitcoin myth to rest. And I think that's going to help us in the long run as far as with regulation. And at the very end, we'll do 5 questions in 5 minutes. So hold the questions till the very end. I'm sure you're going to have a lot. And let's get into it. First up, if you're here for the live stream, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. If you're here for the replay, just know there's going to be timestamps below so you can skip around to whatever you want to do. But let's take a look at what's going on in our market. And I got to tell you, lately, I've been kind of negative if you haven't caught my vibe. And it is what it is. I just take a look at the data. I'm not super emotional over it. You just take a look at what's going on in the world, macro. You take a look at on-chain analysis, even take a look at a little TA stuff. And I can just kind of say that no one knows where anything's going, and no one's got a crystal ball because it's just how it is. However, sometimes it's just a good idea just to sit and do nothing and just wait for things to happen. And sometimes it actually works out pretty well. So like today, it's a good day. Near protocol. And I got to tell you, Near protocol is looking pretty good, especially with that M2E or move to earn play that they're doing. We'll cover that in another video. But things are looking up in the market, so I feel pretty good. And then you got to ask yourself, because we always talk about correlations, how is S&P 500 and NASDAQ doing? Well, surprise. It's doing pretty good today. You got, it's up 1.26%, which I guess in traditional world is like a big deal. We call that a Tuesday afternoon, not a big deal. But over 5 days, and actually yesterday, it was down a little bit, which kind of broke apart my whole thesis, which was, we are in lockstep with a lot of these different traditional finance. And NASDAQ as well is taking off. Again, like yesterday, it wasn't doing so hot. Over 5 days, it actually went down, and we went, I think we went a little sideways. So I guess it's not a stretch of the imagination. So that's what we have as far as the market. Everybody's happy. Great stuff. So let's take a look at a little quick on-chain analysis. And this is one of the things that's actually been keeping me a little more on the bullish side than anything else. So if we take a look here, there's a great website. Love it. Crypto Quant. Makes it easy for ignoramuses like myself, where I'm just trying to get the best data very simply. And of course, minor outflow is looking fine. This is the same thing that everybody talks about. Bitcoin reserves and how things are outflowing. And it's looking still pretty good. Bitcoin tends to still get taken off the exchanges. Everything's great. Ethereum also is going off rapidly. I tried to do a transaction yesterday. It almost cost me $47 in gas fees. So why is Ethereum being taken off? It's because the gas fees are so damn high. Taker by volume, that's sure. And then this is another one of my favorite ones, the estimated leverage ratio, which I've been complaining about for quite some time. But as we go up, anything above 0.2 is considered extremely high. And if we can just zoom in a little bit, we can see that, we've been high for quite some time. And then here, just 0.24. I can't wait till we get to 0.3. But something happened yesterday. We took a little bit of a downturn. What happened? Well, people got liquidated. That's what happens. And I think it was a funny situation. I mean, not funny. If you got liquidated, sorry. Look, I have no problems with anybody doing leverage trades, but this is the data that we have. And you can take a look. In the long run, it seems like, shorts, you can kind of take a look at it, just a general opinion. But longs have been getting crushed, especially, right here. Longs got crushed, 405 million, $500 million here, almost $500 million here. And then look at this day. This was 17th of April, which was Sunday. It was almost a 50-50 split. 157 million in longs got taken out, as well as 122 million shorts. So that's a little bit of exuberance on the leverage plays. And it is what it is. Then today, of course, we had a nice little run. So then the shorts get taken out. Now, how does this work out for as far as making money? I don't care really how people do it. It just adds to a little bit more volatility to the market. And when things start to sway either way, it starts to accelerate things. So hopefully, and I hate to say this, but I have to, hopefully the price goes up a heck of a lot more and we have more of a squeeze in the shorts, but we'll see how that works out. And then also, somebody in the comment section yesterday said that 90% of people are in the red for crypto. And I was like, I don't think it's true. So there's a great website, intheblock.com. There's a link in the description, not an affiliate link. Do whatever you want. But if you take a look here, I like to see these very simple ones. And when you log in and just click on Bitcoin, you can see it's very simple. Holders making money at current price. At the current price right now, as we talked today, 64% are in the money as far as Bitcoin goes. Now, as far as the total market, I mean, there's a wide swath of variance, but usually everything follows along with Bitcoin. So if you put a ton of money into Shiba Inu at some point, sorry, or you put a ton of money into, I don't know, Dash, and it just is what it is. But right now, if we take a look at in and out, and I personally think people should have should have some Bitcoin in their portfolio. Not investment advice, it's just what I tell my friends and family. And then we can take a look here, holders composition by time held. 58% of people for all the Bitcoin that's held is 1 year plus. It's a lot. I mean, how often do you see that with the other altcoins? Not a ton of them. 1 to 12 months, 34%, and less than a month is only 7%. And then also, this is a big thing that I don't think anybody really talks about too much. Because when I talk about outflow, which I do a lot, and I have screwed this up in the past, we should really be talking about net, which is the inflows into the exchanges and the outflows from the exchanges. And if you take a look, in the last 7 days, we've had inflows of 5.02 billion and outflows of 5.5. You always want to see more outflows because that means that people are holding on to it, putting it into cold storage. But it is a good metric to really pay attention to, because then you can say, okay, now I feel that we're going more towards a bullish sentiment. You can do things accordingly, which leads me to my last 2 points, which is this. And all the things that are going on, what would wallet number 3 do? Which I think Ben would probably cover this today over on Into the Cryptoverse. And wallet number 3 bought 1,000 Bitcoin yesterday. Just 1,000. It's like 40 million. So good for that person, gentleman, lady, Nancy Pelosi, who I don't know who it is. 1,000 Bitcoin, nothing to sneeze at. For April 15th, 500. April 14th, 500. And the next question is, what would Do Kwon's LFG wallet do in this situation? And they didn't do squat. So, hey, you got one win. And let's see, this is Luna founder Do Kwon's LFG, or the organization. Luna's their Bitcoin wallet. The last time they bought a massive amount was April 15th. So, 4 days ago? Not too bad. But just remember this. They still have almost $1.8 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's a lot. So good for them. So that's the on-chain analysis. That's what we have right there. Let's take a look at this top story, or one of the stories, this algorithm. And I'm not sure, maybe the way that I presented this in the title and the thumbnail, maybe people are thinking I'm going to shill some type of bot, but I'm not. This is from Real Vision. So, algorithm known for outperforming crypto markets favors Ethereum, Terra, Solana, and one altcoin. Cliffhanger. So this is what we got. Every week, the Real Vision bot conducts surveys of crypto-related data in order to create an algorithmic portfolio assessment consistent with the consensus of the hive mind. So they don't really it's not a TA type of thing. They just do surveys. And I guess this is kind of like hive mind or wisdom of the crowd type of thing. They poll people, a lot of different traders, and say, what's your top hold? Or what do you think things are going? And then they just aggregate that data. This is what we get. The bot has had an astonishing record as it outperforms the aggregated bucket of the top 20 crypto assets by more than 20%, simply by taking surveys. And this is what Real Vision announced. They said, hey, the number one is Terra Luna, reclaim the top spot of most heavily weighted digital assets. And right behind it is Ethereum. And it's almost, it's so super close. Either one or two could be interchangeable. So that will be Luna and Ethereum. It says here tied for fourth place. Yeah, tied for fourth place at a 60% allocation is Solana. And then comes Matic. And man, I got to tell you, I hope Matic comes in a heavy way, because that would really help with the Ethereum gas fees. Layer 2 solution would really go a long way, especially just for me. And I just talk about it because I'm selfish, and I'm also biased because I also own everything we just talked about. So here's what we have as far as the key and where things are going and where they believe it. So if you can see right here, let me pull this up. Terra's number one, roughly 70%. Ethereum number two, Bitcoin just behind number three. Then you got Solana, Polygon, and look at this. Avalanche, it's interesting. Cosmos. Cosmos is one of the ones I've been dollar cost averaging for over a couple months now. And it's a multi-chain asset. And I believe crypto.com or Crow Coin, whatever it is built on that, as well as Luna. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but Cosmos is one of those that could be a big powerhouse. Then you got Polkadot, Phantom, USDC coin. All right. Stellar, sure. How the heck does Stellar beat Binance coin? Someone explain to me that in the comment section. It makes no sense to me. Axie Infinity, sure. Quants, Algorand, okay. FTX token, sure. XRP. Congratulations, all XRP holders. You guys and gals are amazing to hold it all the way through, the SEC thumping you left and right in that in that awful litigation. Hopefully you'll win. I think you'll win, but we'll see. Decentraland, Chainlink, and Thorchain. So that's rounding out the top ones. And right behind that, Cardano, Litecoin, Uniswap, Theta. So that's just what the data shows. I can't tell you anything more. That's just what we have. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Is that a pretty well-weighted ratio, or do you think it's just totally wrong? And let me know. And we'll go to the next piece, which is I try to pay my taxes, my Voyager debit card. So this is the whole story. And it's not even that dramatic. So everybody's been asking me for quite some time, because I have the sheet of paper here somewhere. Rob, have you used your Voyager debit card? Get into it. And it's like I'm always like procrastinating to do certain things, except pay the IRS. I've been paying the IRS now for about a month or so, intermittently, because I've already done the taxes, but there's like the last piece. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pay the last piece of the tax that I owe to the IRS. And people ask me, well, don't you live in Puerto Rico and don't you have zero taxes? You still got to pay some taxes, 4% corporate tax. There is no zero capital gains. But remember, I moved there in April. There are some things that are retro and some things that are not. It's very tricky when you have assets here as far as real estate and companies, and then you go over to Puerto Rico. You can't just move the real estate with you to Puerto Rico. It's kind of tricky. That's why you need a good CPA or CPAs in this situation. So what I did was I go, you know what? I got this debit card. I'm going to try to see if I can do it. Just did not go through. And I thought, well, maybe it's something I did wrong. And I reached, and then I was, I put this post, and then immediately, I think 20 minutes, I had Steve Ehrlich, the CEO, he messaged me, he goes, hey, he goes, we're going to put this in the next evolution of the debit card, and how we're going to have like ACH and things go a little bit more smoother. And I said, yeah, Steve, but I think the problem was I paid over $30,000 with the debit card. So probably that's up to me. Probably shouldn't have tried to use the very first transaction of, 5 figures plus. And that was just on me. And then, so that was that part. And it's like right before I said that, or right before I said that, this was from Ted Cruz. And I got to tell you, Ted Cruz, senator for Texas, he's a huge advocate for Bitcoin, which I can understand, because he's more of like a libertarian type of guy. Then he puts this out, abolish the IRS, and I was like, maybe that'll gain some traction. I have no idea. I will say this though, if you haven't filed your taxes yet, well, yesterday was the day for the United States, but you can still sign up for CryptoTrader.tax. Links in the description, so good luck with that. But just as a follow-up, I did use my debit card last night at Subway as I ate some pretty bad food, and worked well without a hitch. And to answer your question, no, there's no capital gains because you're just using USDC. And I will say what was cool about that is that I was able to just transfer like any kind of sales that I have for crypto right into USDC, and it was able to be used automatically. And also you get 9% yield for USDC. So something to look at. Anyhow, let me show you the thing about that. And then let's go to our last piece. Secret Service puts a Bitcoin myth to rest. I love this. I love this stuff. This part right here. There was a video from Squawk Box, I think it was, CNBC TV. And I had no idea that this was actually going on. This was the Secret Service, the organization, the people, the arm of the government that protects the U.S. president. I guess they had nothing else to do. So U.S. Secret Services cracked down on crypto. And when I first saw this, I'm like, great, another hit piece on crypto, but not so. So I'm going to have you listen to this. It's a minute long, and I'm glad that they actually put this out on CNBC, and I think a lot of people should be talking a bit more on this. Let me stop it real quick. Let me share the tab. So you can actually hear it, and let me mute myself. So about a minute long, check this out. This is actually pretty good.
We're inside a rarely seen secure room in Washington. What is this facility we're standing in?
Right now, we're standing at U.S. Secret Service headquarters within the GIOC, which is the Global Investigative Operations Center, which is our hub for our most complex and impactful international cases.
No longer just capturing counterfeit money rings, the Secret Service is also tracking illicit Bitcoin proceeds on the blockchain, which is the public ledger for all crypto transactions.
The Secret Service is now the primary agency investigating the illicit use of digital assets.
David Smith is Assistant Director of the Office of Investigations.
One of the guiding principles of the blockchain is that it was a public ledger that's shared, and everyone with a little bit of computing power has access to it, to include law enforcement. So the Secret Service isn't doing anything that wasn't the original intent of the blockchain. We're just using the same tracking and tracing mechanisms that were intended.
So would you say that crypto is actually more traceable than good old-fashioned cash for a criminal?
In many ways, it is.
So
in many ways it is. So you got to love that piece because it makes a lot of sense. So all the different things that we're talking about, Janet Yellen, illicit activities, and so on and so forth. If I worked for the cartel, and I don't anymore, I don't work for the cartel, but if I did, I wouldn't use cash because that would be dumb. I mean, excuse me, I would use cash because it's the easiest way to get around things. I mean, just think about it. Cash is, people say cash is trash. Cash is king if you want to not have people follow your transactions. So when there's this argument, Janet Yellen, all this illicit activity, if you're a terrorist organization, mafioso, cartel, I think or money laundering, I think the dumbest place you could actually do that is on an actual open ledger. And in all honesty, I just don't see why anybody would do that. And there was actually a report. This just was a couple of years ago. It was a report that was commissioned by a couple of different organizations. And one of the people that led it was Michael Morrell, senior counselor, Beacon Global Strategies. He was the former acting director, deputy director, and director of the CIA. And this is what his whole conclusion was. It just comes down to this. To me, it just comes down to this nice little paragraph, which is this: the blockchain ledger on which Bitcoin transactions are recorded is an underutilized forensic tool that can be used more widely by law enforcement and the intelligence community to identify and disrupt illicit activities. Put simply, blockchain analysis is a highly effective crime fighting and intelligence gathering tool. So that's it in a nutshell, and I couldn't agree more. So now as time goes on, and we're trying to get more regulation, hopefully positive regulation, all these organizations come in, and when they have these Senate committees or hearings, they can bring the gentleman that was just talking there, maybe Mike Morrell, and go, hey, is this really for illicit activities? They can do that. Would actually be a very bad idea, and we can track it, and here's how. That's it for today. So look, if whatever you want to throw in there for the comment section, go right ahead. Now we're going to burn into the 5 questions, 5 minutes. If you got to take off, that's okay. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now let's get into 5 questions in 5 minutes and get the heck out of here. A lot of things going on today. So let me stop this banner scrolling around. This is funny. Cruz, a broken clock is right twice a day. Hey, he's big on Bitcoin. Hopefully that can bring in some more positive regulation, as he knows a bit more than what you got. Yeah, as far as the volume, that's as high as it goes. Sorry. So I'll just tell you what they said. If anybody couldn't hear it, the question was, is blockchain, or is using blockchain better than cash as far as traceability? And they said, as far as opposed to cash, blockchain is essentially a little bit more traceable, or a lot more traceable than cash, and makes our job easier. That's what the head of that Secret Service agency talked about. Okay. Your taxes sound as bad as mine. It was pretty bad. Question number 1. Solomon the Hodler. Love your content, Rob. If Bitcoin goes to 1 or 12 million by 2030, who knows? You think people would be ready to buy the Bitcoin at said price, expecting to go higher? I think hopefully at that point, people will understand that they don't have to pay $1 million to get 1 Bitcoin. And here's an exercise for everybody out there. If you're around and you're just talking to random people and they even ask you about Bitcoin, make sure you ask them this question. Did you know that you can buy Bitcoin? You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, and you don't have to pay $44,000 or $41,000. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. I was talking last weekend to a couple of people, a couple of friends of friends, like, really? I can do that? I thought I had to pay 40 grand for that. Nope, don't have to. So do I think people will buy it? Yeah, because guess what? In 2030, there's going to be, I don't know if YouTube will be around. I have no idea. Whatever else that Elon Musk creates. There will still be people talking about how Bitcoin is the future, and it's going to go to 30 million. That's how I see it to be. So answer your question, yes. Rob, any locations country-wise would you recommend for crypto other than Puerto Rico that you've considered? So Portugal is another pretty good one. And I will say this, if you live in the United States, if you live in California, those are one of the states you probably want to get out of, because not only do you have to pay governmental capital gains tax, you also have to pay state capital gains tax. I'm pretty sure it's around 9%, 7 to 9%. It's pretty high. So just take a look at that. Also, there's watch the Nomad Capitalist. That's where I learned a lot of things about where to go. And then also there's one called, was it Plan B or Plan C? I know Plan B was the one with the stock to flow ratio, but there's another organization that helps you get dual citizenship, so you don't have to pay so much. But that's another thing that you can look at. Can't trace cash. That's right. Question number 3, which is, any theories on why Cardano is not offered on Gemini Exchange? It's a very funny thing. I mean, you would think like a top 10 crypto would be offered on Gemini, which is a pretty compliant New York-based exchange. It baffles me. It also baffled me when Coinbase didn't offer it, and they just offered it not too long ago. So yeah. Rob, when will XRP become a legitimate stablecoin? When everything else collapses. Stablecoin. That's good. I used to say that XRP was pegged to the quarter because it was like that forever. Cruz is actually one of the few super high IQ government people. I personally think he's a bit too shifty, but that's my opinion. He's a politician. That's what they're supposed to do. Let's see. I got one more. What cold storage can I use to store my Solana? I love your channel, which is used by, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Trezor one that you can actually put into Solana? I know for me, if you want to store it someplace off an exchange, it's a hot wallet, but I use Phantom personally, and you can go from there. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section there. Let's see. Thailand, I don't know about Thailand, but I can tell you that it's much less expensive to live in Thailand than it is in Puerto Rico. This is a great question. Do you see any pattern number of views on your video and the price of Bitcoin? Big time. So when we go into like more of a bull run, even like parabolic, the views in this channel will go way up because people are like, what is this? What's going on? Also, what's great about that is that, I got this 100% free website, which I do all the things that I've figured out in these 4 years, and I put it all on this website. And that helps out a lot because people go, I want to learn about that. And they go there. So as the price goes down and we go and people get more bearish, the views go down. Just natural progression. That's how it goes. And when people have more exuberance, that's when they watch more, which is, in reality, if I wanted more views, I would just lie to you guys, honestly. And I'd just say, everything's going to be great and it's awesome. And tomorrow's going to 1 million and the clicks. But I just don't see it like that. I see there's a natural progression. There's a natural shift in the market. And these are just my views and thoughts. And I know that like when I put some negative things up, I'm like, well, that's not going to get that many views, but it doesn't really matter because we're here for the long haul, right? And then you who are here, you're probably like, if you're here right now, good chance you're going to be here in 2, 3, 5, 10 years. So you're my core audience, not the people that are just like bouncing all around and don't really understand the concepts of just long-term, hopefully generational wealth. Oh, well. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this. What are your thoughts on Australian spot ETF news? So I just read that. I was going to add that in, but I'm like, everybody will talk about that today. My thoughts are this. Canada can do a spot ETF. Australia can do a spot ETF. Different parts of the world can do a spot ETF, but not America. And for whatever reason, Gary Gensler is just like, no, there's too much manipulation. There's manipulation everywhere, Gary, and you can't protect everybody because they don't need your protection. And in all honesty, a spot ETF, do you see the manipulation that's going on anyhow? Just take a look at the Wyckoff method. So I don't want to, I understand the concerns and I get that we have to have regulation, but in all honesty, I think we would be okay with a spot ETF moving forward. It's amazing to me we can't get it. We can get a futures ETF. We can move forward like that. But a spot ETF, no. And of course, yield programs like with Celsius, of course, you got to shut that off because, we don't care if you go to the casinos and gamble your life away, but you are not going to put it into more technology to actually give you better yield than the bank down the street. My thoughts are this. I think we should have one. I would like to understand where the thinking is and where we can say, okay, well, if you think there's not enough protection, too much manipulation, what do you want us to do? Just tell us and we'll work it around. Anyhow. Thanks. Okay. Christian says, Rob, do you still hold ADA and why? Yeah, of course I hold ADA. But I remember for the house in Puerto Rico, I sold a lot of different crypto. And not all of it, but at some point you have to. I know people will say, why don't you just take loans against everything? And I'll tell you why you don't take loans against everything. Because the market dips and drops down. I hate having to say this every single time because I always get that same comment. Just take a loan, just take a loan, just take a loan. If you take a loan against your crypto, you got to better make sure that you have pretty high collateralization. And if there's a big drop off, you better make sure that you have a lot of collateral in the background. It's okay for Bitcoin miners to take loans because guess what? All they got to do is just fire up the rigs and start getting more Bitcoin because it's a proof of work system, right? And they go, hey, the loan is coming due because there's a margin call. Oh, no big deal. I've got a lot more Bitcoin I'm creating. If you're not one of those people and you didn't take that loan and buy something goofy like a Lambo or something, and it's actually something that actually works for you and produces yield and produces funds, not so bad. But if not, you better make sure you got a lot of collateral on the sidelines. So to answer your questions, yes, I do hold ADA, but I did sell ADA and Luna and Bitcoin and Ethereum. I also took a loan against Ethereum and a loan against Bitcoin for the home in one of the houses in Puerto Rico. But it's okay because that house actually gains yield because it's on Airbnb. It's working out so well so far. And that's all we got. I'm going to leave it there. We're at 30 minutes. So look, if you like today's show, give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing. All things we talk about are time sensitive. And that's it for today. So thank you so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.